Hey Factors, for everything 26 and 26, make sure to check out 26and26.com. That's 26in26.com.
Conceived in quarantine and born into a world we never would have imagined. A podcast featuring two friends, outrageous facts, and a countdown clock that always wins. This is 26 and 26, the A to Z of everything.
Shake it off, shake it off, Brandon! Shake it off, shake it off,
Nathanael!
Brandon!
all episodes now start with us singing, songs from the early 2000s. That's it from now on.
I don't
That's how we're doing
think
it.
Shake It Off is from the early 2000s.
When's it from?
2010s?
Okay, so in the early 2010s, shake it off,
Yeah.
shake it off.
That's... Now I don't know. Oh, yeah, I don't know. My Taylor Swift discography is not that great. We're going to get
is that
so
who
many
that
comments. Yeah, isn't it?
I don't
I thought
know.
it was... Yeah, isn't that the Taylor Swift
If you
Taylor
asked me
song?
for one more word in that song besides shake it off, I could not possibly tell you. Not at all. Not at all. But
I was
shake
so
it off.
convinced that's
I know
who
that
it was,
part.
and I'm like, oh wait, if you don't know, maybe. Yeah, no, that's no. Oh, just shake. Okay, we're getting way too far. This is not a musical podcast yet.
Tell us more. Tell us more.
Welcome to the 26 and 26 of Taylor Swift.
There it is. No, we are not doing Taylor Swift today. That is not what the plan is. You gave us a subject last week. We're getting fluid with the roles. We're going to mix things up a little bit. And you are going to be delivering all 26 facts for us today. Isn't that correct?
Well, I'm going to try. You say all 26 facts like you've delivered 26 facts before.
More like
and,
20 and 26.
We'll see what happens. But before we dive into it, Brandon, what's your highlight?
I'm actually, my highlight right now is being able to switch roles. I didn't have to stay up till 2:00 in the morning finding 26 unique facts about birds and camping. So it was actually kind of cool to be on this side, mix it up a little bit. Didn't quite have as much to do. What about you?
I honestly, I got to say my highlight was the FaceTime call that I just got off with my family. It's my dad's birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday.
I don't know if my parents will ever listen to this, but I still love them all the same. And I'm really, the highlight is just my little sister. She cracks me up. We have become closer friends in really over the last year.
What's her name?
Rachel. And
Hi, Rachel.
Yeah. Hi, Rachel. And seriously, the thing that absolutely made my day today is like we're in the middle of something. I forget what happens. And my mother is very religious. And Rachel, something happened. And Rachel's like, Jesus loves the little children. And I'm just like, oh, that was well played. Good save, Rachel. Like I can just imagine the look on my mother's face. But I'm like, that was fantastic. So I can't be angry at it.
No. It's always nice to have siblings that you get along with too. Well, recap us on what this episode is going to be about.
This episode is, if you happen to be watching this, roller derby right here. I am wearing my AZRD hat. I am wearing my Coffin Dragger shirt. And underneath that, I've got a Dos por Cuatro shirt, which is another roller derby team out of Argentina. So,
well, it's a tall task for you because I've been to multiple roller derby events. I also love it. I think it's super fun. But if you held a gun to my head and asked me to explain what was going on, I couldn't tell you a single thing. So I'm looking to be educated on this episode. Are you ready?
I do that. Brandon, give me a clock.
All right, man. Let's get started in 3, 2, let's go.
All right. Letter A, we're going to start with the ABCs of roller derby. I'm going to give you the basics. That way you can understand before we continue on. So
I will need it.
A team can have a roster of up to 15 skaters. 5 of those skaters can be on the track at a time. One of those skaters is designated the jammer. They are the scoring skater. They skate counterclockwise around the track.
Are the other people going clockwise?
The other skaters are facing the jammer. So when the whistle blows, it is the job for the jammer to get past the opposing four skaters and beat the opponent jammer to get a lap around the track. And then when you make that first lap around the track, that's when you start scoring points. Points are scored when the jammer's hips pass one of the opponent's hips in a lap.
Specifically hips?
Specifically hips. If you
It's
put
not
your
an
hands
arm,
out,
it's not a head length, it's the hips.
No, it is not. It is hips. It's center of gravity. As you're
now,
being carried
is the
around.
jammer the person that has like a kind of a special helmet on?
The jammer is denoted by having a star covering on their helmet. It's normally a mesh covering or some sort of cloth covering, so it's removable because you will have multiple jammers on one team. So that way you're not sending the same person out every time and just running them into the ground.
So is it fair to say that the jammer is going to be your most physically, dominant person out there, fastest person, biggest, toughest person? What
Not necessarily. Actually, biggest and toughest, that's probably going to be one of your blockers. Because you want that big. There was a woman that used to skate for the local league who skated under the name Gingersaurus Rex. And you can kind of use context clues.
Everyone's got great names in roller derby.
Oh, we're gonna get into it. That's one of my letters. But like name alone, you can kind of tell. Very big redheaded woman, and she was a wonderful blocker. Fantastic. Okay. So like you want her going up against the jammer because you got to push a wall. The thing that's fascinating about derby is it's the only sport where you are simultaneously playing offense and defense at the same time, because the four skaters for Team A are trying to block jammer B, but also making it possible so that way their jammer can get around and make a lap.
Oh, so it's all simultaneously happening on the track. It's not like one person has a take. They've got two jammers that are going around the track.
Two jammers line up behind a line.
Opposing teams.
Opposing teams, Team A, Team B, and then the other 8 skaters, 4 from each team, line up on another line, whistle blow, jammers take off skating counterclockwise, and you do what you need to do to make it so that way your jammer gets past and the opponent jammer does not. No other sport.
2 points for each team can be happen. So 2 points can happen at the same time almost. It's like they're passing next to each other.
If the jammers pass at the exact same time. What's crazy is there can be
This is why I never understood it.
Oh yeah. What's crazy is there can be a lead jammer. So the first skater that gets past the group of people known as the pack, they make the lap around. They're designated as the lead jammer. If they want to end the jam, which is a 2-minute period, you've got a 2-minute play clock, they can call the jam off early. So if they get past all of the skaters and you score 5 points, 4 points, 5 points, derby community, correct me if I'm wrong, 4 points. They score the points, they can actually end the jam. So if they're far enough in the lead and the opposing jammer is so far behind them, you can score points and then end it. You don't have to skate for 2 minutes, and you can also force the other jammer to skate longer than they want. But
why would that be advantageous?
Advantageous. Yeah. It's advantageous so that way you can score points and keep your opponent from scoring points. Moving on to letter B, bank track is the original track that was used. Historically, that's what it started on, and it's also what is used most commonly in media. That's when you think about it, you think of the slope track. It's got a kick plate and a railing at the top of it so you can't fly off of it. And contrary to popular belief, you're not allowed punting people over that railing. It's not that vicious of a sport. But what's fascinating is the letter C. Chicago is where it was founded. Roller derby was founded in Chicago in 1935. A man named Leo Seltzer he was sitting in a diner and he read an article in the Literary Digest magazine, and it said that 93% of Americans had roller skated at one time or another in their life. And in typical American fashion, he went, how can I capitalize upon this? And so
what year was that again?
1935.
Sure,
On
roller skates are
July
big.
Exactly. July 14th, 1935, the term roller derby was trademarked, and on August 13th, 1935, at the Chicago Coliseum, 20,000 people showed up to see Colonel Leo Seltzer's Transcontinental Roller Derby, a mythical marathon race from one end of the country to the other. I
I
don't know
like it when you
why I
do
felt
that.
like I had, yeah, I don't know why I felt like I
No,
had to
that's
do it, but
good.
I felt
That
like
was
I had to
perfect.
do it. What's crazy is I said it was
20,000 people.
20,000 people, but what
The
blew
first time out.
First time it was debuted, Chicago Coliseum, 20,000 people. What's crazy is I said it was a mythical marathon race around the country. It didn't start out with 5 skaters against 5 skaters. It started with a bunch of people skating 57,000 laps around a track to signify skating from the East Coast to the West Coast.
How long
That's
would that
how it
take?
started. I don't even know. Honestly, I can't. I never even found that. I actually just found about 30
They
minutes
didn't
before we
know when
started
they did it. No
recording
one
this.
finished.
No, it was going to take forever. But what's fascinating is that in December 1937, Damon Runyon, letter D, Damon Runyon, who is a sports writer, saw the game played in Coral Gables, Florida, and
Whoop,
he was
whoop.
enthralled by it. He thought it was absolutely fascinating. And so he went to Leo Seltzer and helped create a more structured sport that actually featured contact and violence and hitting and whipping being taking a skater from behind you and literally like pulling them from behind you and shotgunning them in front of you. Just you use your momentum and you whip them forward. And so that's what it included. And
So it went
let
from
me
like the
check.
Indianapolis 500 to like more of a contact sport.
Yes, exactly. It went from just a marathon race around the track into a contact sport in 1937. It continued to grow a fan base, but it wasn't until 1948 when roller derby was aired on television and it gained absolute national exposure and just
48.
dominated media for about 5 years. In 1953, because of the oversaturation in the American media market, roller derby actually left America to the letter E, Europe. And they toured Europe for a year, and then they returned in 1954, where Leo Seltzer moved the headquarters for roller derby to the West Coast. And they actually led the way for a few years later when Major League Baseball moved their headquarters to the West Coast. Little fun fact for you, Brandon.
Yeah, I did not even realize that because since then they've
Yeah,
obviously moved back to the East Coast.
exactly. But
New York City.
apparently in the 1950s, they were on the West Coast. So your mind was blown at 20,000 people,
Yeah,
right?
completely. Do they get
What do you
20,000
think?
now?
I wish. Unfortunately, not. But
Yeah.
we'll get into that. At its absolute heyday, how many people do you think showed up to see a bout? That's what the game is referred to is about. How many at its absolute heyday? What do you think the max
They got
attendance was?
20,000 on their first one and never again have they reached that number. I don't know. I would say though, because obviously you already gave, 20 years of, history there of when they came back. I would probably say 30, 40,000 people. Is that, I mean, that's a big number, but I'm guessing it
In
based off what you said.
1972, at Comiskey Park in Chicago,
Oh, wow.
50,118
Oh,
people showed up to watch the Chicago Midwest Pioneers play the Los Angeles Thunderbirds. 50,000 people. That blows my mind. Like I work professionally. I work concerts. I work arena concerts, and I've seen 25,000 people in one spot.
so
And to think of that
50.
doubled for Derby, that
Forget it.
blows my mind, especially because most Derby now is played on the letter F, flat tracks. The nice thing about flat track is you don't need to have any equipment. If you have some string, if you have some tape, if you have some chalk, draw an oval on the ground. The dimensions are available online. throw on some skates, and you've got flat track roller derby. It's that easy. And it's because of that it is now estimated 98% of all roller derby competitions worldwide are held on flat track. Bank track still exists. It's still alive. It's still here. We still have a team repping their shirt right here, Coffin Draggers, but
And that's a bank team that they play
that's
on
a
a
bank
bank.
team. The Coffin Draggers
Okay.
play on a bank track.
That's funny because I've
And
never seen it on the flat. I've only seen it on the bank. When I lived in LA, there was the LA Derby dolls, and they
oh, we're
played
going to
on a
talk about
bank.
them.
Oh, all
We're
right,
going
all
to
right.
talk about them. So, but before we talk about them, we need to talk about the letter G, Gotham Girls Roller Derby. They were one of the original founding members for the Flat Track Governing League back in 2003. And this is where we get into some of the really fun names, as if I didn't already hint it with Gingersaurus Rex. The 4 home team names are the Brooklyn Bombshells, the Manhattan Mayhem, the Queens of Pain, and the Bronx Gridlock. So those are the 4 teams that make up Gotham Girls Roller Derby inside of New York City. That was one of the founding members of Flat Track Roller Derby.
Now, how many people are on a
all-star
roster? Like a team?
up to 15.
Up to 15. And only how
Up
many
to
people
15.
are on the track at a time?
5.
And that includes the jammer.
That includes the jammer. It's one jammer and then 4 other skaters.
Okay.
So Gotham Girls All-Stars is the traveling team, and they are one of the current top teams in the nation, having won 5 national championships since the first tournament was held in 2006 in, drumroll please, Tucson, Arizona.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Arizona happens to have quite a bit of clout inside the derby community, both bank and flat track. We kind of have a scene here that nobody knows about. So I'm really hoping if any of our friends locally are listening to this, like I said in the last episode, I really want people to get out and check this out when it's back again, because it is absolutely amazing. And fun fact, the Dust Devil that was the very first tournament held in Tucson, it still happens to this day. Well, okay, not to this day, COVID, but to this day, it still exists and it's still played.
Now, why is Arizona such a hotbed for derby activity? Just geographics, or
honestly, I don't know. I can't answer
largest
that.
city in the country.
It has something to do with the fact that we have a lot of people that are able to play it and we have a lot of clout. Also, the weather is very conducive at times, but at the same time, my roommate who skates for a flat track team, their practice space was an unair conditioned warehouse. So in July and August, they're skating around a track and all they've got is swamp coolers, and it's
they're doing it in the summer.
Oh yeah,
they're actually in a warehouse in Arizona in the summer.
Round. Oh yeah. These are tough individuals. But
that they are. That they are.
But they're not. They're tough. I'm not going to take anything away. But the thing that's crazy is there are more rules to the letter H hitting than what you would normally expect. And this is where it gets really interesting. So this is,
and you are a quarter of the way through. I am rooting for you, man.
Woo-hoo. All right, man. I got to slow it down because I want to see if the final.
I don't know if you need to slow it down. We're a quarter of the way through, and you've got 11 minutes left. I would definitely.
Wait, we're a quarter of the way through, and I got 11 minutes left. Gotcha. So I got to speed it up. All right. I already feel like I'm speaking a mile a minute. It's a lot of stuff. I'm really excited. All right, hitting. You can only initiate a block from an opponent's chest, front and sides of the torso, arms, hands, and hips. Only on the front side. You cannot hit in the back. That's an illegal hit. It is considered unsportsmanlike conduct. You will get a penalty.
Who's making this call?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
It's another letter. You gotta give me that.
All right, fair enough.
It is only legal to initiate a block using one's torso, arms above the elbow, and legs above mid-thigh, which means you cannot use your hands. You cannot use your forearms. You can't shove people. You have to get up in there with your body on skates and hit the other person. And
I
it's,
think I'd rather have someone with their hands hit me than hit me with a bow.
oh my word, it's insane. It just absolutely crazy what ends up happening. But we're going to move on to letter I, and I'm actually going to
Okay.
take your tradition from episode 1. It's a thing. There is
It's a
a
thing.
term affectionately known as eat the baby.
Okay,
Yeah.
Nathaniel. I'm not sure how. Wait. Hold on now.
So, eating the baby is when the jammer gets in front of the pack and starts skating around the track. But the pack catches up to the jammer and swallows them back up, and you eat the baby. So the jammer's no longer in lead, and now the jammer's got all the blockers in front of them again, and they're not able to do anything, and you just got to roll with it.
But typically, the jammer is the fastest one on the track. So if they were to eat the baby, it's because the other people are hauling butt.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So we're going to move on to the letter K. And
I wonder if Seltzer thought they would have terms in his sport that he coined called "eat the baby" back in 1938. I'm wondering if he was like, "Yeah, that's the future of the game."
All right, kind of doubt that, but I don't know. We'll find out.
We'll see.
Oh wait, no, J. Sorry, I don't even know my alphabet.
Oh,
letter
okay.
J.
I agreed.
Well, Johnny Rosasco and Josephine Ma Bogash were the first two skaters inducted into the Roller Derby Hall of Fame in 1952. The Roller Derby Hall of Fame shut down in the mid-70s, and then with its resurgence in North America in the early 2000s, it opened back up in 2004. But those were the first two skaters inducted into the Hall of Fame. Both names started with the letter J. Names that don't start with the letter J, Kelly Kapowski.
All right, okay.
What Derby names, letter K. I mean, I'm using Kelly to kick off K, but the Derby names are what's amazing. It's whatever you want. A lot of them are plays on different things. So my roommate, her skater name, Pip Streak.
Okay.
She's a smaller individual. So
Pip
Squeak.
Oh, okay. I get it. I didn't get it. Pip Squeak. All right.
Pip Streak. But she's fast. Pip Streak.
Okay,
there
it's a pun. It's a pun.
So, exactly. Some other ones that I'm just going to rattle off real fast before I move on. Good God, I'm looking at the clock. Grim Scary Tales, Little Gurmaid, Agatha Crushdee, Hermione Danger, Sylvia Wrath, Scratcher in the Eye, Emily Deckerson, Harlot Oscara, Tragedy Ann, Rudyard Crippling, Malice in Wonderland.
Deep there.
Dude, it's
Malice
amazing.
in Wonderland. That's
Malice
good.
in Wonderland. Well, the other one that I like is Alice in Wunderland.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a little it's like the German equivalent. Wunderland.
Yeah, exactly. My favorite one that I found, the two last ones I'll give are Give 'em Hell, Vetica.
For all our font enthusiasts.
Exactly. Perfectly good font joke for all of you.
Yeah.
And then my last one I'll give is Kilbo Baggins.
It's moving so hard to almost take someone. It's like, okay, Kilbo Baggins is I'm facing tonight. That's you're hard to get psyched up.
One of the skaters for AZRD, our local flat track league, was named D's Nuts. And every time they announced the roster at the beginning of a bout, they would announce the number, and they'd be, I don't even remember their number, but it was like number D's, and you just hear the entire gymnasium nuts. Just the best thing ever. Absolutely. Moving on to the letter L, the LA Derby Dolls. I've been talking a lot about flat track because, like I said, flat track comprises the majority of what's going on, but bank track is still a thing. And LA Derby Dolls are currently the dominant team in the nation in bank track. They've been uncontested for years. However, at the last Battle on the Bank, which was the national tournament, our very own Arizona Hotshots came within 1 point of defeating the LA Derby Dolls and dethroning them from their championship dynasty at this point. So I personally cannot wait to see the Arizona Hotshots dethrone them and claim the title when Derby comes back. If you want to know more about Derby, you can watch movies with the letter M. I am just steamrolling you right now. You're not going to get commentary.
Yeah. I was like, I got comments. Oh, I guess he's going to M. Okay,
we're just moving on. I'm already going to run out of time, and you don't even have to say anything. The most well-known Derby movie is Whip It, starring Drew Barrymore and Elliot Page from 2009. Exactly, you know, and in that, they're playing on a bank track. It's based on a novel called Derby Girl by Shauna Cross, and fun fact, not Derby related, it was Drew Barrymore's directorial debut.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, that was a good movie. I remember it being good.
It's a great movie. I highly recommend it to anybody that's listening. Go check it out. Wonderful movie.
Congratulations, Nathanael. You're halfway through.
And I've only got 4.5 minutes to go. Wonderful.
It's not so easy.
Letter N. No ball. Letter N. No ball. That's right, folks. This is a sport that doesn't involve a ball. Deal with it.
I'm trying to think of another sport that doesn't have a ball. Wow.
Even water polo has a ball. Maybe competitive swimming and like track. Actually, no, even track has at some point you throw the shot put.
And I'm thinking
sport.
Yeah, like even poker and stuff. It's that's not a sport. So, but they consider it to be one. But real sports, no.
No, exactly. And it's the only sport that doesn't have a ball, and it's the only sport where you're playing offense and defense simultaneously.
And both offenses are on the field at one time.
And both offenses are also the defenses.
This is why I struggled with it, and this is why I wanted to do this episode, because it is actually, I feel I definitely understand it better, but I also understand the clock.
Oh, yeah. So the letter O, Olympics. Roller derby was considered for the 2020 Olympics, and it is recognized by the International Olympic Committee as a valid sport in order to be played. It just happened to not make the cut. It made it all the way to the final 10. Don't ask me what made the cut, because at that point I was like, well, they didn't make it. I don't care.
I know baseball didn't, so I don't recognize that body of sport.
Exactly. So letter P, the pivot. That's the other skater that has a signal or a marker on their helmet. This one is marked by a bar or a stripe. They are the only skater that is able to, I'm going to actually have to jump a little bit to the letter S. I'm going to come back into R&T. I've got R&T, or actually R and Q. Again, I don't know my alphabet. They're able to do what's called a star pass. So if the jammer is hitting the wall of the other skaters and they can't get past, if they're able to take their cover off their helmet and they can hand it to the pivot is able to then take off around the track. And once they make a full lap around the track, they are then the jammer and they're able to score. So if your jammer is just getting absolutely steamrolled and can't get past the other skaters, but they've got an opening where they can just do a star pass, they're able to hand it off to the pivot.
But you don't want to see that happen on your team, because that means you're probably not doing as well.
Exactly. But if you have a really good pivot, it's a very valid strategy. The letter Q, quad skates. Roller derby is played on quad skates, the 4x4 roller skates, or 2x2 roller skates, not inline wheels. It is not a thing. It's not played. It's not even allowed. Quad skates are the only thing that is allowed.
Is it tradition, or are they just kind of like looking at...
I believe it's tradition. I don't know if there's a safety factor. There might be a safety factor. I'll find out, and maybe we'll let people know in a later episode.
Coming up on a minute.
I know, and I'm really close to at least getting to where you got before. So, Rose City Rollers. The Rose City Rollers All-Star Travel Team, the Wheels of Justice, won the Flat Track National Championship in 2015, 2016, 2018, and 2019. Coming out of Portland, Oregon, the Rose City Rollers, one of the top flat track teams out there. Letter S. I did say Star Pass, but another fun name for Star Pass is the Panty Pass. Urban legend says that when this originally started, skaters used panties as the cover on their helmets because you needed something big enough to, well, okay, actually that one I'm purely conjecture at that point. I don't know. But I kind of always assumed like you could just get like big granny panty style things and like fit it over your helmet. I don't know. Urban legend, we never claimed to be a 100% factual podcast. So
No, by
take
far.
it for
No
what
way.
you
No
will.
way.
I'm going to end on the letter T and tie you, Brandon. I'm going to talk about Texas. Yep.
Over.
I
We're gonna let you have it, but just so you know, you didn't get to T. I'm actually relieved because I thought it was maybe just me not being able to do this. Turns out you can't either. Now proceed
and I
with T.
steamrolled you too. My word. Halfway through, I'm like, has Brandon said anything yet? And then I'm like, have I given him an opportunity to say any? Welcome to Nathaniel's 26 and 26.
I was even watching the clock being like, I don't want to, I wanted to see you succeed. And when I was asking questions, they were genuine. So, but I wasn't making an effort to slow you down. And it's a good thing I didn't.
Because I did make it all on my own, but I'm super glad that T is the letter I get to end on because this is where I get
hold on. You get one more to share. Do you want it to be T? Is it one of the other ones?
I want it to be T because I'm going to get to quote the greatest sentence ever written in the New York Times. Derby kind of fell out of the national spotlight in the late 70s. It had a resurgence in 2003. There's debate on where it happened. A lot of it is credited to Austin, Texas. There was a man named Daniel Eduardo Policarpo that is credited with the revival starting in Texas. However, Devil Dan had some insane ideas on what he wanted to do with Derby. I'm going to quote from the New York Times now.
Devil
quote,
Dan.
The version of roller derby that Devil Dan envisioned, as he described it in Hell on Wheels, a 2000 documentary released on DVD, would have involved a crazy circus with these clowns unfortunately stabbing each other, these bears on fire on these unicycles. Of course, those things did not come to pass. And here's my favorite line ever. Even in Texas, a license to ignite bears can be hard to come by.
It's one of the few limitations Texas has on and regulations being like, listen, you just can't be setting bears on fire on unicycles.
We allow a lot, but this is ridiculous. So Texas
drive through margaritas, good to go.
Exactly. Bears on fire on unicycles.
Not as much. Not as much.
So Texas is credited with the kind of epicenter of the resurgence, but by August 2006, there were 135 similar leagues across the U.S. And then leagues outside the U.S. started to form in 2006. And at this point, there are currently 2,000 amateur leagues worldwide in countries including Canada, Australia, the UK, France, Brazil, New Zealand, Germany, Belgium, Finland, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Israel, Singapore, the United Arab Emirates, and Egypt.
All right.
This is a worldwide sport.
So for anybody who's listening and wants to learn more about roller derby, where can they do that? What's a good resource? What would be something you'd pass along?
So one of the letters I was going to get to was WWFTDA. It's the Women's Flat Track Derby Association. They're the governing body for...
Don't try to sneak in extra letters.
What you wanted to know where to find things. All of my reference material was at the end. Just saying.
Sure. All right. No, what was it? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You're fine. WWFTDA, the Women's Flat Track Derby Association. They have a lot of amazing information about it. And honestly, if you azrd.com, I believe that's their website. If it's not, we'll correct it in a blurb. But our local derby community, they actually have a really, really good website that gives a lot of information about what's going on. And like I said, it is one of the most inclusive communities that you can find. If you want to know more about derby, the easiest thing you can do, find a derby bout near you and go. And just walk in and go, I don't know what's happening,
100%.
but I want to learn. And you will be welcomed with open arms. It is a family, regardless of race, religion, creed, identity. It doesn't matter. You're welcome.
So we missed out on the letters. We'll T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. It seemingly we've got a little theme. We get about 3/4 of the way through, and then we can't get it. So we'll have to remember that in the A, B, and C area, because I think that's where you and me go long. All right.
Yeah, a little bit.
Now it is time to be thankful and grateful. Nathaniel, why don't you start?
Well, I think we're kind of doing the same thing. I'm thankful for the opportunity to have flipped the roles here. It was a unique experience. It was something that I was not anticipating when we first started talking about this podcast idea and how we were going to do it. You're the one that has the background in radio, and I'm the one that has the background in production. And so it was that natural fit. But to flip the roles, I'm grateful to see what you go through to put together the content for it. And at this point, I should make you, cut all the audio and video.
No,
and all
thank
that.
you.
Then you
No,
can.
thank you. Yeah, people enjoy hearing it, and I want to ensure it by you doing it. I'm actually thankful for the same thing. It's flipping the roles and making and seeing kind of, sitting in your chair for an episode. It was kind of neat to just be able to. At first, I was like, I'm going to derail this guy, and then I'm looking at the clock, going, I don't need to help derail this guy. As a matter of fact, if I can, let's get that clock going. Let's move here, buddy.
At one point you said you called the clock out, and I was like, oh, I need to slow down because I clearly have no concept of time.
I was like, no. Also, something else that I'm thankful for is the music that you heard in this episode is from the one, the only Mr. Mike DeChico. You can find out more information about him and all the cool things that he's doing. It's not just music, it's animation. He's got a whole world that he's created, and this was a track that you heard in this episode was from that world, and that is domesticatedrobot.com.
Yes,
super, super, super thankful for him.
All right, Brandon, take us out of here.
All right, we leave you now with love and light and this. Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. Rolf Waldo Emerson. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
All right, Nathaniel, in under 26 seconds and in alphabetical order, tell us how they can find us. Go!
A, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts. F, Facebook, 26in26A2Z. I, Instagram, 26in26A2Z. T, Twitter, 26in26A2Z. W, website, www.26in26.com. Y, YouTube, 26in26, the A to Z of everything. Time!